Alright, first thing I'm going to do, I've already opened the box obviously, but I'm going to pull the directions out and I'm going to take an inventory of all the stuff. I'm going to throw a time lapse in here and get everything spread out on the table here and see what we got. Alright, what we got here as far as the beehive is a BeeCastle. It came from Alright, well I didn't quite understand the directions, they're kind of vague, but you get all the panels with the fingers in them and you match them up to site to height, and you might have to move them around, but then you push them together like you just saw on the time lapse, and then you take the screws and get a Phillips head bit and screw them in. I will say that as far as the cuts and everything on the wood, it's pretty good finish. What you got to be careful with, especially if you're using a 20-volt screw gun like I did, if you run these screws in too far, you have a tendency of splitting these woods. So you kind of just bump them in until they draw everything tight and stop. And as you can see, some of these are not quite sunk down as much as one of these other ones, but I didn't want to have it. That one went a little bit further than I wanted to. I will say that these screws look like they're regular plain steel screws. They're not coated. We'll see down the road as whether or not they'll last around here. They'll rust out or not. We'll see what my bride wants to do. So we're going to go to the next step, is making the frame foundations. Alright, we've done a couple of, as you saw me did a couple in a time lapse. Here's how they sit in there. I was going to bring you a little bit closer to see how they go. You also notice I started out, did the first one up here on the table, and this plastic table had too much bounce in it. All right, as you just saw, these were put in there. I was going to go ahead and run one through on untime lapse. But you got these two pieces here that's got groove in it, and your plastic honey or cone fits in there, and I've been putting the fatter one on the bottom, and then you have your fork pieces. I'm not sure what they're actually, they've got a name on it, but you got your short forks, and these are for the box that's called the medium box, that's not that deep, and you're going to put them on this piece right here, and this piece on right here, and then put your cone in, and then you're going to take one of these pieces. This is actually the bottom, and I've noticed it was easier for me to slide to start with the top down and do the bottom. Now, like was mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned a minute ago, but there's a lot of rebound on this plastic table. And you kind of just fit it in like so, but then I take and put it on the ground and then put the little nails in. I'm not going to, it takes a little bit, so it'd be better to time lapse through that. So I'm going to go ahead and time lapse through, and we're going to put together the rest of these on a faster time lapse. When I got started, I don't know if you saw that in the time lapse, but I got one comb frame that I can't do, and it's because this piece right here is split. And what I'm going to try to do is take some Gorilla Glue, and I'm going to try to glue it back together, put a clamp on it, and assemble this one later. But for right now, we're going to proceed on full speed ahead and go from there. The best I can tell, all the hard parts have been done. Everything's nailed and screwed together. All we have to do is set this thing up and stack everything, and voila. So we'll let me get to that. All right, so doing time lapse so I can talk to you. If I'm reading this right, you got your foundation piece, which is the piece with the hole in it, and you're gonna put your deep frame or a deep box in on top of that, and it's gonna stack in line. Then you're gonna put your queen extruder on top of that, and then you're going to take your medium hive frame and put it on there, and then you're going to put your inner cover on, and then your top cover. Now there's this piece here I have yet to figure out what it goes to, so I wonder if it goes right there to kind of prop this guy up a little bit. Unless this is the bottom board. Yeah, I think this goes on the very bottom because it's a little bit longer than it. And like I said, there's not a good picture of it. I'll tell you, I'm not impressed with these directions. BeeCastle, you can do a better job on it. I'm going to play around a little bit with it, and we'll figure it out. I might have to do a little rummaging around on the internet. I'll put it on a time lapse, and we'll go from there and see if we can get something that looks decent out of it. That's it, as far as I can tell. Just two little things, or I say two things that would make this thing complete is this other frame and then fixing this lid. But as far as the install, that's it. I wish the directions were a little bit more, had a little bit more detail in them. There was a lot of touch and play. I did have to go through and stop and put it together once or twice and then back up. And then take it apart to be able to put on the video. And I'm apologizing, I'm making the table bounce. But with that, that is our BeeCastle beehive. We're going to get another hive coming. We got 2 colonies on the way. They should be here at the end of March. We'll get a video out on that, which means, hey, hit the bell notification, subscribe, like the channel so you can see when that video comes out. With that, hope you have a good night, and we'll see you later. Thank you.